everybody, and welcome back to Roll-in-ish. My name is Matt, and in this video, we are going to look at the 3 monastic traditions found in your player's handbook. These are the subclasses for the monk class that you have an option to choose from starting at 3rd level. Now, if you haven't done so already, go take a look at our intro to monk video, and that is going to break down all of the features that all monks get for choosing the class. It is very detailed. There are a lot of features that monks get because they have a lot of cool abilities and special moves that they can do, which make up for their lack of ability to use certain weapons, armor, and shields. They've got a lot of options at their disposal, which makes it a very, very fun class to play. So, looking at our monastic traditions, your player's handbook has 3 options. Now, there are other supplements out there like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and certain third-party content that will add more monastic traditions or subclasses for the monk class as options. But in this video, we're just going to focus on the 3 that are in your player's handbook, starting with the Way of the Open Hand. Monks of the Way of the Open Hand are the ultimate martial artists for combat, whether armed or unarmed. They learn techniques that'll help them push and trip their opponents. They can manipulate their ki energy to heal damage, and they can practice advanced meditations that can help them and protect them from harm. So, if you choose the Way of the Open Hand at 3rd level, the first feature you get is called Open Hand Technique. When you choose this, you can manipulate your enemy's ki, or their life energy, to harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your Fury of Blows, you can impose one of the following effects on the target. So again, you have ki points. It is a point system to use your energy to fuel special moves. One of those special moves is called Fury of Blows. If you spend a ki point as a bonus action, you get 2 unarmed strikes, assuming you have used your attack action, right? So when you use your attack action, maybe you're using it to unarmed strike or use your monk weapon. Maybe it's a short sword, maybe it's a staff. You can then say, okay, bonus action ki point, I want to do 2 unarmed strikes. Okay? When you use that as a Way of the Open Hand monk, you can impose the following effects when you hit the creature with one of those unarmed strikes of your Fury of Blows. First, it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. Or, it must make a strength saving throw, and if it fails, you can push it up to 15 feet away from you. Good for when you're fighting on a bridge or on a rooftop, or there's maybe a pit of acid or a trap or something like that where you want to push them off or push them into something. Great. Or you can say that it can't take reactions until the end of your next turn, which is wonderful, especially if that enemy is close to you or close to you and other members of your party, and it can't take reactions. Great. You guys can kind of spread out and focus your fire elsewhere without engaging opportunity attacks based on that movement. So, when you hit with one of the attacks granted by your Fury of Blows, you can do one of these things. All right, next, at 6th level, you get a feature called Wholeness of Body, which means you gain the ability to heal yourself. As an action, you can regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. This starts at level 6, so 3 times 6 is 18. As an action, I can literally just heal myself 16 points. Oh, excuse me, 18 points. 3 times your level. So if I'm level 10, 10 times 3 is 30. I could just heal myself. I got a long rest before I use that again. So it's a one-time use. So maybe like once a day, if you want to look at it that way, you can heal yourself as an action the hit points are going to equal 3 times your level. At 11th level, you get Tranquility. You can enter a special meditation that surrounds you with an aura of peace. At the end of a long rest, you gain the effect of a Sanctuary spell that lasts until the start of your next long rest. The saving throw DC for the spell equals 8 plus your Wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus. So if you've watched our Intro to Monk video, you know that the book recommends to you when building your monk character to focus your ability score on dexterity first and then wisdom, because the two of them combined help determine your armor class. Your wisdom modifier affects your key save DC, and again, here it comes again, your wisdom modifier is going to be part of the spell save DC for the Sanctuary spell. So if you're wondering, well, what's the Sanctuary spell? Good question. Let's take a look. You can cast Sanctuary on yourself. It is a bonus action spell. You ward a creature within range against the attack, and in this case, it's for yourself. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature, you, with an attack or a harmful spell, they must first make a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. The spell doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects like Fireball. So if it is a direct attack on you, they first have to make a wisdom saving throw to even attack you. That DC is going to be 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus. And it starts at 11th level. So I can tell you at 11th level, your proficiency bonus is a +4. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Whatever your wisdom modifier is, let's say it's 3, add it to that. So 3 and 12 is 15. They would have to at least make a 15 wisdom saving throw to even target you with that attack. That is awesome. Okay. So you could do that with at the end of a long rest, and it's going to last until the start of your next long rest. So starting at 11th level all day long, a creature that wants to attack you must succeed on a wisdom save before they can even target you. That is awesome. Very, very good way of protecting yourself, considering you don't wear armor, can't have a shield, right? Lastly, at 17th level, you get a feature called Quivering Palm. You gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in somebody's body. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 3 key points to start these imperceptible vibrations, which last for a number of days equal to your monk level. Okay? It starts at 17th level, so 17 days to start. Okay? The vibrations are harmless unless you use your action to end them. To do so, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you use this action, the creature must make a Constitution saving throw. If it fails, it reduces to 0 hit points. If it succeeds, it takes 10d10 necrotic damage. You can only have 1 creature under this effect at a time. And you can choose to end the vibrations harmlessly without using an action. So, if you've ever watched like the movie Kill Bill, this reminds me of like the 3-point heart exploding technique or whatever it's called, where like you could do this thing and it's indetectable by that person. They don't know that this thing is happening to them. And you could end it harmlessly if you know what, I'm not going to try and kill this person. Or if the conflict ends and maybe you do this to a creature and it escapes the encounter, your party's like, oh no, let's chase after it. You could be like, hold on a second. We don't have to do that because I did this thing. And I'm going to end it right now. And so as the DM, I'm going to go, oh no, I got to make a con save for this guy who's running away. If I fail, I'm dead. If not, I'm taking 10d10 necrotic. Maybe that kills me. So Quivering Palm is such an excellent feature to have. It's so powerful that literally it is like a ticking time bomb and the person is unaware. And you could keep that going for as many days equal to your monk level. So you can keep that going for a 10-day or two, and they won't even know. You can end it harmlessly, like, never mind, I'll let them live. Or you could just eventually get them. Let them think they're safe. Give it a couple of days, and then end it. That's so cruel. All right, let's talk about the second option, Way of the Shadow. This is going to be a good subclass for a monk that really wants to lean into and value stuff like stealth and subterfuge. These monks are typically, like, for lack of a better term, ninjas. Okay, they're spies, they could be assassins, they're basically ninjas. Sometimes the members of a ninja monastery are family members, a sworn, a clan sworn to secrecy about their arts and missions. Maybe they have a front. Maybe their monastery is a front for like an orphanage or homeless, but behind the scenes at nighttime, these monks are really, doing other nefarious, perhaps, things. When you want to play this Way of the Shadow, if you want to be like a ninja-esque type monk, at 3rd level, the first feature you get is called Shadow Arts. You can use your ki to duplicate the efforts of certain spells. As an action, you can spend 2 ki points to cast Darkness, which is like a 20-foot area of magical darkness. Dark vision can't see through it. Okay? You can cast Dark Vision. So if you have a race that does not have Dark Vision and you need it because you're going into a dungeon or a cave, you can cast that. Pass Without Trace. That allows you and your party members to stealthily move about. It's going to add a plus 10 to your stealth checks, individual stealth checks, which is great. Allows you to move sneakily. Or Silence. Silence is good for moving around sneakily. Silence is also good when you're fighting something that can cast spells. Casting Silence on that creature, if their spell they're trying to cast has a verbal component, they won't be able to cast that spell because they can't say it, right? So those are some good options at Shadow Arts. And additionally, you can cast the Minor Illusion Cantrip if you don't already know it. So this is going to give you access to certain spells, and those certain spells are aimed at sneaking around and detecting things while sneaking around. At 6th level, you get a feature called Shadow Step. You gain the ability to step from one shadow to another. When you are in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. You then have advantage on the first melee attack you make before the end of that turn. So this is a great feature to use to make sure you have advantage on your first attack. Otherwise, you can, because you're a monk and you're so speedy, you can use your speed to try and get to something so quickly that could give you advantage before it has a chance to react or see you. But this essentially is a way to get to a new enemy quickly without provoking opportunity attacks. It could get away from an enemy quickly. You just have to be mindful and ask the questions of your DM. Am I in dim light? Am I in darkness? What about that spot over there? Is that in dim light and in darkness? Okay, great. I'm going to use my Shadow Step. So, and it's a bonus action. So you can use the movement and then use your attack action like it suggests, or, vice versa. Use your attack action and then bail by dipping out with that teleport. At 11th level, you get a feature called Cloak of Shadows. You have learned to become one with the shadows. When you're in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible, and you remain invisible until you make an attack, cast a spell, or are in an area of bright light. Notice that this does not have a time limit on it. You are just invisible until you attack, cast a spell, or step into an area of bright light. That is going to make you very difficult to attack as an enemy, and give you advantages at attacking enemies because they can't see you and know that you're coming. Ninja style. Opportunist. So essentially what I'm telling you is you could be a turtle as a race, be a monk, and then choose Way of the Shadow, and you are basically a Ninja Turtle. That's what I just said. Okay, at 17th level, you get the feature called Opportunist. And what this means is you can exploit a creature's momentary distraction when it is hit by an attack. Whenever a creature within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack made by a creature other than you, so a teammate, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature as well. It's you being an opportunist. That's what it's saying. So, as a dungeon master, if your teammate who's within 5 feet of you makes an attack on my bad guy, right? And you're going to use this reaction to also make an attack against this creature, I'm likely, even though it doesn't say this, going to give you advantage. Because that creature is focusing on its attacker, not you standing next to him. He's focusing on the attacker. So when he or she gets hit, they're like, ouch. They don't see this blow coming, in my opinion. So I would probably give you advantage on that. That's my call. Not every DM's going to make that call. Opportunist. I love that at 17th level. That's a great feature to have. Just make sure that you get judicious with your reactions. Because remember, you only get one per round. You refresh them at the start of your turn. And between your turn and your next turn, you can use one reaction. Okay. Lastly, you have the Way of the Four Elements. And in this feature, essentially you're using your key energy to align yourself with the elements in nature. Many monks, I like the way that they describe this, how you can role play this and make it really work for you. Many monks of this tradition tattoo their bodies with representations of their key powers, commonly imagined as coiling dragons, but also as phoenixes, fish, plants, mountains, cresting waves. So that's a really cool thing that you can do for flair and for flavor. Just have your monk have these tattoos, and when you want to activate these powers, it's like these tattoos are fueling that energy. For example, at 3rd level, you get a feature called Disciple of the Elements. It's going to cost you a key point, but essentially it's going to dive into some of the details below. You learn one additional elemental discipline of your choice. You get one here at 3rd level, but you get another at 6th, at 11th, and at 17th. Okay. Essentially how it works, whenever you learn a new elemental discipline, you can replace one elemental discipline you already know with a different one. So maybe you try one on and you're like, this isn't really working. I'm not really using it a whole lot. So now that you get to one of these options, you can choose a second one, but replace the first one. I'm going to try these two. You can really toy with it. Once you reach 5th level in this class, you can spend additional key points to increase the level of an elemental discipline spell that you cast, provided that the spell has an enhanced effect at higher levels, such as Burning Hands does. So, for example, if you're a 5th level monk and you use Sweeping Cinder Strike to cast Burning Hands, you can use 3 key points to cast it at a higher level. Burning Hands is a 1st level spell. Okay, so let's look at that. I love this as an example. Let's look at it. It's a 1st level spell, and when you use this as an attack, it produces a 15-foot cone, and any creature in that 15-foot cone needs to make a dexterity saving throw. That creature is going to take 3d6 damage on a fail, or half as much on a successful one. Anything that fire touches is going to ignite flammable objects. But here's the thing. When casted at a level of 2nd level or higher, the damage is going to increase by 1d6 for each slot above 1st. So, it's a 1st level spell that does 3d6. If you cast it at 2nd level, it's going to do 4d6. So if you go back and we look at this as the example, this is saying if you use Sweeping Cinder Strike, you get Burning Hands at 1st level. But If you spend 3 key points, you can upcast it to second level, and now you get an additional d6 of damage. It's up to the dice rolls. It could be very advantageous. So that's saying like, hey, this special move, Sweeping Cinder Strike, costs 2 key points plus the 1 to upcast at another level. So taking a look at it, if you're 5th through 8th level, you'll be able to, the max you'll spend for a spell is 3 points. 9 through 12, it's 4. 13 through 16, it's 5. 17 through 20, you're going to be max spending 6 points. And it's going to, as you go through and you look at these disciplines, there's so many options that you can choose from. Okay, for example, Breath of Winter. You have to be at least 17th level to use it, but you can spend 6 key points to cast Cone of Cold. Now, Cone of Cold is a pretty high level spell. It's a 5th level spell. It creates a 60-foot cone, and every person, every creature in that cone needs to make a Constitution saving throw. They're going to take 8d8 cold damage on a fail or half as much on a successful one. A creature killed by this spell becomes frozen until it falls. Usually that's going to be like, a little bit of time that goes by to do it. So at 17th level, you can spend 6 of your key points. Remember, you have 17 key points at 17th level. You can spend 6 points to cast that spell. There's one called Clench of the North Wind. You got to be at least 6th level. You can spend 3 key points to cast Hold Person. There's things called Elemental Attunement. You can use your action to briefly control elemental forces within 30 feet of you, causing one of the following effects. Create a harmless, instant sensory effect related to earth, air, fire, or water, like a shower of sparks, a puff of wind, a spray of light mist, or a gentle rumbling of stone. You can instantly light or snuff out a candle, torch, or campfire. You can chill or warm up to 1 pound of non-living material for up to an hour. So if you're trying to heat up food, let's say. Cause earth, wind, water, or mist that can fit in a 1-foot cube to shape itself into a crude form you designate for a minute. So you can make like a totem out of it, small totem, let's say. Eternal Mountain Defense. You need to be at least 17th level to use this one, but essentially you can spend 5 key points to cast Stone Skin on yourself. Stone Skin is a spell that essentially does what it sounds like. It's a 4th level spell that turns the flesh of a willing creature you touch as hard as stone until the spell ends, which is an hour. The person's skin allows them to have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. That means whatever they take non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, they can half that damage based on that stone skin spell. Fangs of the Fire Snake. When you use the attack action on your turn, you can spend 1 key point to cause tendrils of flame to stretch out from your fists and feet. You reach with your unarmed strikes increases by 10 feet for that action. Okay, so normally your unarmed strikes are going to be 5 feet. It's got to be in melee range. Fangs of the Fire Snake extends that melee range by 10 feet. So up to 15 feet for that action, as well as the rest of your turn. So a hit with that attack deals fire damage instead of bludgeoning damage. So instead of you punching, kicking, or headbutting and dealing bludgeoning damage, this is going to deal fire damage because your body is wreathed in flame. Also, and if you spend a key point when the attack hits, you're going to get an extra 1d10. So you could use this, spend a key point to use this attack action. If it hits, spend another key point, a second one, to deal that additional d10 of fire damage. Very cool. There is one called Fist of Four Thunders. You spend 2 key points to cast Thunder Wave. Again, another area of effect spell that can get multiple targets. Fist of Unbroken Air. You create a blast of compressed air that strikes like Mighty Fist. As an action, you can spend 2 key points and choose a creature within 30 feet. That creature needs to make a strength save. On a fail, that creature takes 3d10 bludgeoning damage plus an extra d10 of bludgeoning damage for each additional key point you spend. So 2 key points just to do it. But let's say you spend an additional 3 for a total of 5 key points. That's going to be a total of 6d10. So 3 for the base, and I spend what? 3 additional key points for a total of 5. That's an additional 1d10 per key point. So 5. So that's going to be a total of 6d10 bludgeoning damage. And that is going to, if they don't die from that, push them up to 20 feet away from you and knock them prone. On a successful save, the creature's going to take half as much damage and you don't push it or knock it prone. But this is a good way to do a lot of damage in one strike, and that's not a lot of key points. 2 points is not a lot. I like the idea of, on the failed save, spending additional key points to get an additional d10, because 5 key points right here on this move is 6d10. That's a lot of damage. Okay. Flames of the Phoenix. You need to be at least 11th level to use this one. You can spend 4 key points to cast Fireball. Gong of the Summit. 6th level requirement. Got to be at least 6th level to use it. You could cast 3 key points to cast the Shatter spell. Mist Stance. Need to be at least 11th level, but if you spend 4 key points, you can cast Gaseous Form targeting yourself. You turn into mist. And it can protect you a little bit, help you make an escape, things like that. Ride the Wind. Need to be at least 11th level, but you could spend 4 key points to cast Fly on yourself. River of Hungry Flame. Need to be at least 17th level for this one. You can spend 5 key points to cast Wall of Fire. Rush of the Gale Spirits. You could spend 2 key points to cast Gust of Wind. This is nice when you have something like Fog Cloud on you, Cloud Kill, any gaseous type smoky spell effect. Gust of Wind can help dissipate that stuff and maybe make a path out of that dangerous area. Shape the Flowing River. As an action, you can spend a key point to choose an area of ice or water no larger than 30 feet on a side within 120 feet of you. You can change the water to ice within the area and vice versa, and you can reshape ice in the area to any manner you choose. So if there's like an ice wall blocking a door, you can manipulate that to move it, right? You can raise or lower the ice's elevation, create or fill in a trench, erect or flatten a wall, like I just mentioned, or form a pillar. The extent of any such changes can't exceed half the area's largest dimension. For example, if you affect a 30-foot square, you can create a pillar up to 15 feet high, raise or lower the square's elevation by up to 15 feet, dig a trench up to 15 feet deep, and so on. You can't shape the ice to trap or damage a creature in the area. So it's essentially manipulating the elements around you. Sweeping Cinder Strike, that was mentioned earlier. You could spend 2 key points to cast Burning Hands. And then lastly, you have one called Water Whip. You can spend 2 key points as an action to create a whip of water that shoves and pulls a creature to unbalance it. A creature that you can see that is within 30 feet of you must make a dexterity saving throw. On the failed save, the creature takes 3d10 bludgeoning damage, plus an extra d10 bludgeoning damage for each additional key point you spend. And you can either knock it prone or pull it up to 25 feet closer to you. On a successful save, they're going to take half damage. You're not going to be able to pull it or knock it prone. That is going to be similar to what we talked about with Fist of Broken Air. So instead of like hitting it so hard and pushing it, you can pull it with Water Whip. So these are the options. Some of them you notice you have to reach a certain level to take them. But that's why there's this table, right? There's this table, and there's also why it talks about having these things like in the example that was given, right? Some of these things you can, or here, I'm sorry, here's where I was thinking of. You take one of these features at 3rd level. You get another at 6 levels. You'll have 2. You get another at 11th, and you get another at 17th. So you can pick up to 4 of them. Each time you get to a stage where you pick one, you can pick a new one, and replace the one you already had. So I know this is a lot of options, but some of them don't present themselves until certain levels. So right off the bat, you might want to take something like Elemental Attunement, or Fangs of the Fire Snake, Fist of the Four Thunders. Those ones don't have a level requirement. Those are the ones that you can grab at level 3. Some of them you can grab at level 6. There are specific ones that are designed for level 6, that are designed for level 11, that are designed for level 17 because they're more powerful, so it makes sense that you would hold off on those. But essentially, you're going to end up with 4 total, and each time you get to pick a new one, you can replace the one you had. So if you find that it's not really working for you, or you find that you just don't really have the situational, I picked the wrong one, I should have done this, you have the ability to swap those out as you get those levels to do so. That's essentially what Way of the Four Elements is as a subclass. It is this particular set of features available at certain level ups. You can pick new ones and swap them out at those level points, but that's what the Way of the Four Elements monk is going to be. So that, my friends, are the Way of the Four Elements, the Way of the Shadow, and the Way of the Open Hand. Those are the 3 options you get to choose from at level 3 to choose your monastic tradition when building your monk. Don't be afraid of it. Jump right in. Monk is a great starter class to work with, as is something like Fighter, because it introduces you to, basic combat mechanics while sprinkling in some extra options like magic and things like that without overwhelming you. So embrace it. Monk is a very fun class to play, especially because of all the speed that you get. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so already. Watch Intro to Monk. Here are the 3 monastic traditions that you can select. And in our next video next week, we're going to dive into my favorite class, the Paladin class. Until then, keep rolling those dice, and we'll see you at the table.